Okay, I'm going to be showing you how to make some homemade mashed potatoes. Right now I do have the potatoes boiling and they are about ready. I just didn't want to spend too much time on the video and then take too long. So right now I'm going to be putting the potatoes into a small sized bowl. Depending on how much you make is depending on how much potatoes you're going to have to use. But as for me, I'm only making a little bit because Thanksgiving's already over and I should not be eating any more mashed potatoes. But they are my favorite thing to eat, and I make them with some meals to be on the sides as well. So I'm just placing all the potatoes into the bowl. Real quick. Okay. Okay, as of right now, I do have the potatoes in the bowl. I don't have a potato smasher, so I do use a large and in charge fork. So I will be going into the bowl and I'll be smashing up all the potatoes. Okay, it's real easy to do. You just have to make sure that they're all smashed up. I mean, some people like to leave chunks of potatoes in there and some like to just mash them completely. Okay, I do have our ingredients. I'm going to be using salt. I'm going to be using some pepper as well, some butter, some sour cream, and of course for your consistency I'm going to be using some milk. So first what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open the country spread I use is the butter that I use. I'm going to get my 1/4 cup and just put that in there. I'm going to mix it until the butter dissolves into all of the potatoes. And it's probably really easy to make. You could use this recipe for anything. Like I said, I use mine mainly for Thanksgiving to go with the turkey and the gravy, of course. But other people, I mean, they can use it with chicken, with beef stew, with anything. Pork chops, anything to that matter. I'm going to get my 1/2 cup and get some sour cream to put in there. Okay, that's going to give it some flavor as well. Let's just scrape it because it's almost done with. Okay, and with the sour cream as well, you're going to mix it in there with all the butter and the potatoes. And you have to just kind of whip it and just get it all ready to go. You make sure that the sour cream is based and it gets all of the potatoes nice and covered. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and use some salt. I don't really measure it only because I am making a little bit today. So I'm going to go ahead and use the salt and just sprinkle some. Depending on how much you make is depending on how much salt you're going to add. I mean, some people like it really salty, so of course they're going to add a lot of salt. But some people don't. Or, I mean, you really don't have to put salt depending on how you make them. Once you get the hang of making them, you can add some fajita seasoning, garlic salt, any type of different seasonings that you use at home. You can definitely put them in here. And of course it will give it a different taste as well. I'm going to go ahead and get my pepper. The pepper as well does give some taste. Once you put the pepper in there, some people like to decorate their potatoes after they're done. They put them in a dish and they just put like maybe some slices of butter or some a sprinkle or two of some pepper. But today we are just going to make this simple, easy, and to the point. And as you can see, it already has pretty much of a mashed potato consistency. I will add some milk though, just to be on the safe side, to make it even a little bit more watery. You don't want it too watery though, because when it's too watery, it's gonna just be a wet glob of whatever you're making. So I'm going to get the milk. Of course, like I said, I'm not going to be measuring it, only because I'm making very little today. And you just want to put it like a little dash or a little pour. And you're going to gently just whip it in there, only because if not, the milk will fly everywhere. It does give it a different texture. The milk does add a little bit of course it is a liquid ingredient, so it's going to make it a little more liquefied, but it does make it a little bit better. Okay, so we're just going to make sure everything gets ready. And there's some, I'm going to add a little bit more, only because I just feel as if it might need a little splash. And of course, like I said earlier, the more that you do make, the more ingredients you will have to add. The main recipe does say about 3 to 4 pounds of potatoes. I'm using only 1 potato right now. But for Thanksgiving, and if you're feeding a bigger family, you will have to put a lot more ingredients on there. So also I do like to add my own little ending to it. I do like the consistency that it does have. I'm going to add some cheese. Okay, I'm going to add some mild cheddar cheese just to the top, and then of course once you mix it in there, it will get cheesy, and I like cheese. So I'm going to just grab some with my hand, and of course just sprinkle it onto the potatoes. That way it looks like that. And then you will mix it in there because it is hot, and the cheese will melt, so it'll have a little kick to it at the end. And there you go. You got some homemade mashed potatoes. It's really easy, and I promise you, if you were to try it, you would be able to do it. You just have to be careful when you add the milk with for the consistency, because you don't want it too watery. You don't want it too chunky, so you have to make sure that you really mash those potatoes. Unless you like it chunky, go ahead and leave the chunks in there and mash some, and don't mash some. So it's up to you, however you like it, and that's how you make mashed potatoes.